of that discourse community. So, now that we've covered what a discourse community is, we've covered the topics and categories that Swales lays out for what one must do in order to be a member of a discourse community, we're going to look in Project 3 at some of those characteristics so that we have a better understanding of our academic discourse community. So if you're undecided, you will want to pick a discourse community that you're considering joining in your academic career. Maybe you've decided to join the academic discourse community of nursing, but you are kind of on the fence and wonder if you might actually want to go into business. If that's the case, then explore the business academic discourse community for this project to maybe give you a better sense as to what is required to be a member, and maybe therefore helping you make that decision. If you've already decided and have started to pursue your academic discourse community, that's great, you're set. That's the academic discourse community that you will be focusing on throughout the rest of this semester. For Project 1, our goal is to understand the basic kind of participatory acts, communication acts, knowledge one is required to obtain, and also viewpoints one must kind of take on, or belief systems one must kind of emerge into their identity to be a part of that discourse community, and also the communication acts that one does through writing and the genres that are typically used in that academic discourse community, what those genres look like, how they're organized, how they're written, where they're used, how they're used, and therefore you will conduct 2 interviews, and then you will begin to provide me, and consider this also to be for the audience of those considering to enter into this discourse community. You will provide us with an overview of the 6 characteristics of that discourse community, and more importantly, the forms of academic communication within that discourse community through writing. Alright, so finding out about your academic discourse community, you will be asked to interview for the point of this example, a medical professional in your field. Now, of course, if you are in the field of business, you would be interviewing a business professional. If you were in education, an education professional, etc. This could be a professor that you've had or are currently taking. It could be a professional that you know, that you have either worked with or your family is friends with, whatever it may be. It cannot be a student. It has to be somebody who is fully a full member of this discourse community. All right? Secondly, you must email at least 3 individuals. This does not mean that you have to conduct 3 interviews with 3 different academic professionals. I'm asking you to email at least 3 individuals, so you at least have the benefit of getting 1 response. People are very busy, especially academic professionals, and therefore you may only get 1 person who says, yes, I have the time to do this. So if you only leave yourself 1 person that you ask and they say no, you're kind of screwed, right? So you need to make sure that you email at least 3 individuals. You must email these professionals, and these emails must be professional and to the point. That means that you want to make sure that your subject line indicates specifically what it is that you are requesting from that individual. For instance, I get over 300 emails a day. If I see an email with no clear subject line, no subject line at all, or something that just says, hey, question about English, I'm not going to read that as quickly as I read a subject line in an email that says, request for interview for my Wayne State English 3010 course. I might respond to that sooner, right? Because I have an idea as to what it is. You also want to make sure that you indicate in the email exactly what it is that you're asking them to provide you. And that means that you must be very specific in that you're requesting an interview, you're requesting to ask them questions regarding their profession. Try to stay away from lexis, that one would not understand. So we're going to be using terminology in this course that other people may not understand. So if you were to say things like discourse community, genre conventions, so on and so forth, they may not understand what you're asking. So you have to be kind of specific but use layman's terms. I'm requesting that we conduct an interview in which I ask you about how one enters into this field, the educational requirements needed, day-to-day activities, how you communicate with your colleagues, any research that you might need to conduct, how it's conducted. Just make sure that everything's in layman's terms. Let them know also that what the time constraints may be. So let them know I will be asking you at most 10 interview questions. The interview should take at most 20 minutes. Let them know, because if they're busy, they want to know, oh, okay, this isn't going to take an hour of my time, and they might be more apt to say yes to you as well. If you have any questions about the format of the email, or if you want to send along, a draft of your email before you send it to the 3 professionals in your field, go right ahead. I have no problem looking it over. The second area that you need to interview is finding out about the genre conventions in your academic discourse community. Remember, genres are written forms of communication. They have very specific types of formatting, very specific types of organization, very specific types of lexis being used, etc. And these are all clear indications as to the goals, the expertise, the knowledge, and the beliefs and viewpoints of your academic discourse community. So you will need to interview the librarian for your field of study. And so to find the librarian for your field of study, you will want to go to the research guides at Wayne State. So we'll pull this up really fast. And you'll see that they have guides for 169 professions. So, for instance, let's go to, let's see if we can find medical, and if not, we'll figure something else out. Okay. Alright. So, since I'm familiar then with English, we'll go to the English site. And you'll see that there's various different types of English courses that one could look at. We're in 3010, so we're going to look at the English 3010 site. And you are going to see on the right side that this is the librarian for the entire English department, Judith Arnold. Every single department and every single discipline has its own librarian, and this librarian is an expert in research in this field, in the types of writing conventions, genre conventions in this field, the type of formatting conventions in this field. And so it's your job to interview this individual and ask them about the genre conventions in this field. And so here's a link in which you can email Judith if you would want to, or whoever might be your librarian. Also, you can chat with a librarian. Now, this is going to be just a general librarian, so no, you cannot just ask questions to a general librarian. But what you can do is set up an email or a chat with your librarian in your field. When you do, you'll need to email and ask for an appointment, and then you're going to want to consider these key points. You're going to ask them to review the typical databases used for your field of study. Every field of study has very specific database systems in which there are housed thousands and thousands of journals and books and etc. So for instance, in my field, we use JSTOR, we use ProQuest, we use FirstSearch, we may use ERIC. In the medical field, it's going to be Medline, PubMed, these kinds of database systems. So you need to know what are the places in which you go to find research, and how are they organized, and what research is placed there. You're going to want to ask them to review the formatting in your field of study. My field of study uses MLA. Most other scientific communities use APA. Others that are history use Chicago or Turabian, so you need to figure out what it is that your field uses for formatting. And then you want to review the genre conventions for your field of study with the librarian. What is typical when one writes and researches and publishes in this field? How is research and communication formatted and organized, and what's required, what's not required? Again, in my field of study, we don't have very clear, lined out subheadings and headings. We have very kind of fluid and creative language. If I'm in the medical field, I know that if I'm publishing, I have to follow what's called an IMRD format: introduction, methods, results, discussion. That is the format I must follow. I must have those sections. It must be very clear. It must be very concise. There should not be any words used that's not necessary. So again, the genre conventions for that field is very different than, say, my field, which is in the humanities. Lastly, I just want to go over the assignments for this week, which is due this Sunday, the 6th at midnight. You will have your one-page single-spaced reading response to the 2 readings. If you'll see each week, almost each week, you'll have reading responses, and you don't respond to just one of the 3 readings that I may assign. You respond to all 3. And how do you do that? You respond by picking a certain theme or idea that should be in each piece of reading and discuss it in that way. And remember, while you can provide me with a very short summary of the text, I've already read it. I don't need you to tell me what the text says word by word. I need you to reflect on what the text says. Why am I asking you to read this? How does this relate to the project or the assignment we're working on right now? How does it give you a better understanding of the goals of this course? You need to have your personal statement response, which is 2-page, single-spaced. It's a narrative to me of what you're hoping to learn from this class, what you might want to understand about your academic discourse community, what you still need to know, what you do know, etc. You need to have sent your email to 3 professionals in your field, and you need to have drafted and possibly sent your interview questions to 1 or 2 or 3 of the professionals that you emailed that has responded back to you. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. If you ever want to meet, we can meet face-to-face or online. Other than that, I look forward to seeing your assignments and seeing all of the information that you found thus far from your research. Thank you.